Ladies and gentlemen, every year brings a blank page for us to write our story. But too often, the person we are today is not the person we want to be. We carry habits that hold us back, thoughts that weaken us, and fears that stop us from moving forward. In 2026, we have the power to change that. But change does not come from waiting or wishing. It comes from action, from discipline, and from looking honestly at ourselves. The weak version of yourself is not a stranger. It is the part of you that makes excuses, avoids hard work, and fears discomfort. That taking responsibility for who you are is the foundation of personal strength and growth. It means understanding that the life you live, the choices you make, and the person you become are shaped primarily by your own decisions, not by luck, circumstances, or the actions of others. Many people spend their lives blaming the world, blaming other people, or blaming situations they cannot control for the difficulties they face. They say, if only things were different, I would be happier. Or I would succeed if people didn't treat me unfairly. While external factors can influence events, they do not determine the core of who you are. The moment you stop pointing fingers and begin examining yourself with honesty, you gain the power to change. Responsibility starts with self-awareness. You must look clearly at your actions, your habits, your thoughts, and your emotions. Every choice you make contributes to the person you are today. If you want to be stronger, wiser, more patient, or more disciplined, you cannot wait for circumstances to align perfectly. You cannot rely on others to motivate you or shape you. The power to become who you want to be lies within yourself, and that power is activated through responsibility. Taking responsibility also means owning your failures. When things go wrong, it is easy to blame others or external factors, but doing so only prolongs weakness. Growth requires looking honestly at mistakes and understanding what you could have done differently. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, but only if you accept that you played a role in it. Without this acceptance, lessons are lost, and the weak version of yourself continues to control your life. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself unnecessarily or feeling shame. It is about clarity. It is about seeing your life as a reflection of your choices and realizing that you are not a passive observer but an active participant. This understanding shifts your mindset from helplessness to empowerment. Once you accept that your actions matter, you begin to notice the areas of your life where change is possible. You notice habits that hold you back, patterns of thinking that limit you, and impulses that weaken you. Responsibility shines a light on these weaknesses not to punish you, but to give you the opportunity to act. It is through this process that the weak version of yourself can be confronted and defeated. Taking responsibility also affects how you interact with the world. When you recognize that you are responsible for your own life, you stop expecting validation, approval, or permission from others to act. You stop being swayed by opinions, gossip, or social pressure. Instead, you develop an inner authority, a sense of control that is independent of outside forces. This authority allows you to make decisions with confidence, to act with purpose, and to remain steady even when life is unpredictable or difficult. Responsibility requires consistency. It is not a one-time decision but a daily practice. Each day brings new opportunities to act in ways that reflect your values, your goals, and your true self. You must choose actions that align with who you want to be, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or challenging. Avoiding responsibility may feel easier in the moment, but it erodes your strength over time. Embracing it may feel difficult at first, but it builds resilience, self-respect, and freedom. Freedom does not come from circumstances or from others making life easier for you. It comes from understanding that you are the one shaping your life. And with that understanding comes the power to act, the courage to face hardship, and the clarity to move forward with purpose. The weak version of yourself is fueled by excuses and fear. It thrives when you avoid responsibility, when you delay action, and when you allow hesitation to dictate your choices. This version of yourself is always looking for reasons not to try, reasons not to push forward, and reasons to remain in comfort even when comfort holds you back from growth. Fear is its primary weapon. It whispers that you are not ready, that you are not capable, or that the risk is too great. It magnifies small challenges into mountains and small failures into permanent setbacks. When you listen to this voice, you give it power. Excuses are the language of weakness. They are the stories we tell ourselves to justify inaction, the justifications for staying in a place of stagnation rather than stepping into change. They sound reasonable at first. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. I will start tomorrow. But each excuse reinforces weakness and delays progress. The weak version of yourself does not want to be tested. It prefers the predictable, the easy, the safe. It avoids discomfort because discomfort requires effort, patience, and courage. Growth, however, cannot occur without discomfort. To overcome weakness, you must confront the excuses and fears that try to hold you back. You must name them, see them clearly, and act despite them. Recognizing that fear is natural does not make you weak. Choosing to act in spite of fear builds strength. The weak version of yourself often hides behind external circumstances, blaming conditions, other people, or events for your lack of progress. It says, "I cannot because of them," but true strength comes from seeing that circumstances are neutral, that they are not the enemy. The enemy is inaction, hesitation, and surrender to fear. Every moment spent giving in to excuses strengthens the weak self and weakens the potential self. The longer you delay, the more entrenched these habits become, and the more difficult it is to break free. Awareness is the first step. You must identify the excuses and fears as they arise, without judgment, and without letting them control your decision. This requires honesty and courage. When you notice yourself hesitating or rationalizing an action, pause and question. Am I being honest with myself? Am I choosing comfort over growth? Excuses and fear often appear as subtle voices rather than loud proclamations. They manifest as procrastination, doubt, distraction, or justification. Learning to recognize these patterns is critical because once you see them clearly, you can respond deliberately rather than react unconsciously. Action is the antidote to weakness. Every small step taken in spite of fear or in spite of excuses chips away at the weak self. Discipline builds momentum, courage strengthens resolve, and consistency erodes hesitation. The weak version of yourself resists discipline because discipline requires sacrifice and effort. It resists courage because courage requires facing discomfort and uncertainty. But it cannot resist action when you persist, day after day, choosing to act according to your values and goals rather than according to fear. The weak self is familiar, it is comfortable because it asks nothing of you. Growth is unfamiliar. It challenges, it stretches, it tests. To defeat the weak version of yourself, you must choose the unfamiliar, the difficult, the uncomfortable. This choice must be made repeatedly, each day in every situation where fear or excuses appear until acting with strength and purpose becomes natural. Weakness is not permanent. It exists only as long as you allow it to govern your decisions. By confronting fear and refusing excuses, you slowly dismantle its power. Awareness, courage, and consistent action are the tools to replace the weak version with a stronger, more capable, and more resilient self. Growth comes from daily action and discipline. It is not a sudden event or a stroke of luck, but the result of small, consistent choices made every day. Many people wait for motivation, inspiration, or the perfect moment, but these are unreliable. True growth comes when you act even when you do not feel like it. When you push yourself even when it is hard, and when you remain committed even when the results are not immediate. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It is the ability to make the right choice, over and over again, even when your mind resists and your body wants comfort. Daily action, no matter how small, compounds over time. A single step taken consistently each day leads to progress that feels almost invisible at first, but eventually transforms your life. People often underestimate the power of repeated, deliberate effort. They expect growth to be dramatic, visible, and immediate, but real change is quiet, slow, and steady. It is built in the small victories, choosing focus over distraction, effort over laziness, patience over impulsiveness. Growth does not come from avoiding discomfort or chasing ease. It comes from embracing challenges as opportunities to improve. Every difficulty presents a lesson, every setback offers insight, and every moment of resistance is a chance to strengthen your character. Discipline allows you to act despite fear, doubt, or distraction. It trains the mind to follow reason rather than emotion, to prioritize long-term gains over short-term pleasures. Daily action reinforces discipline, and discipline strengthens daily action. They work together, forming a cycle that gradually replaces weakness with strength. Without discipline, effort becomes inconsistent and growth stalls. Without consistent action, discipline remains theoretical and does not produce results. Both are required to achieve meaningful progress. Daily action and discipline also teach patience. Growth rarely follows a straight line. There are setbacks, plateaus, and moments when progress seems invisible. Those who succeed are not the ones who act only when it is easy, but those who persist when it is difficult. Discipline allows you to continue even when results are delayed, because you understand that the process itself is what shapes you. Habits are formed through repeated, intentional actions. Every time you choose the harder path over the easier one, you strengthen your ability to act according to your principles rather than impulses. This repetition builds resilience, focus, and self-control. Growth becomes inevitable when these habits accumulate, forming a foundation that cannot be easily shaken by challenges or external events. Daily action is not always glamorous. It may be waking early, practicing a skill, studying, or completing small tasks that others overlook. Yet these small actions, taken consistently, produce far greater results than occasional bursts of effort. Discipline ensures that these actions are taken even when motivation fades, when distractions arise, or when the mind argues against them. In this way, growth becomes less about desire or emotion and more about commitment and choice. Every day is an opportunity to practice this commitment. Every decision, from how you spend your time to how you react to obstacles, can either move you forward or hold you back. By prioritizing daily action and discipline, you align yourself with progress, gradually transforming weaknesses into strengths and potential into reality. Control your response, not external events. Life is unpredictable, full of circumstances you cannot dictate, and people you cannot change. Trying to control everything around you is a path to frustration, disappointment, and weakness. The world will always have surprises, obstacles, and challenges, but none of them are as powerful as your response to them. Your mind is your domain, and how you choose to react determines the quality of your life. Many people allow external events to dictate their mood, their decisions, and their energy. They become angry when things go wrong, anxious when problems arise, and discouraged when outcomes are not as they hoped. But this is a trap because external events are beyond control. Whether other people, actions, accidents, delays, failures, these are all neutral in themselves. They only have the meaning you give them, the weight you assign, and the power you allow them to hold. Understanding this is the first step toward mastery. If you focus on controlling what is within your power, your judgments, choices, and responses, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Control begins with awareness. You must notice when an external event triggers a reaction in you, whether it is anger, frustration, fear, or sadness. Instead of reacting automatically, pause and ask yourself what is truly within your control. You cannot stop someone from criticizing you, but you can choose how to respond. You cannot prevent a delay or a failure, but you can choose whether to complain, blame, or accept it calmly and learn from it. This choice is where strength lies. Every time you respond intentionally, rather than react instinctively, you strengthen your character. You practice patience, self-restraint, and reason, and you reduce the influence of chaos around you. External events lose their power when your focus shifts inward. You no longer hand over your peace of mind to circumstance because you understand that your response is your responsibility alone. This does not mean ignoring challenges or being passive. On the contrary, it means engaging with the world wisely and effectively. It means taking action when necessary, learning when possible, and adapting when required, all while keeping your mind calm and clear. When adversity comes, you are not thrown into turmoil. Instead, you approach the situation with clarity, asking, "What can I do here? How should I respond? What is within my control?" By asking these questions, you act with purpose rather than emotion, and your energy is spent on what truly matters. Discipline in response also protects you from wasted time and energy. When you react to every insult, setback, or frustration with anger or despair, you give away your power. When you respond thoughtfully, your power grows because you conserve energy for what is constructive, meaningful, and aligned with your values. This principle applies in every area of life: relationships, work, personal goals, and daily challenges. It transforms your perspective because the world is no longer something to fear or fight, but a field in which your choices and responses determine your experience. Control over your response is not a single action, it is a habit cultivated over time. Each moment presents a chance to practice restraint, reason, and awareness. By consistently exercising this control, you gradually reshape your mind, your character, and your life, becoming someone who is steady, resilient, and free from the tyranny of circumstances. Face discomfort to build strength. Life is not meant to be easy, and the easy path often leads to stagnation, weakness, and regret. Comfort feels safe, but it rarely brings growth. The weak version of yourself clings to comfort because it avoids the effort, pain, and uncertainty that accompany change. Strength, however, is forged in discomfort. Every challenge, every moment of resistance, every situation that tests your limits is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Discomfort can take many forms: physical effort, mental strain, emotional stress, or situations that challenge your values. It may be waking up early, confronting difficult truths, facing fears, learning a skill, or standing firm in a conversation where most would stay silent. Each of these moments is a chance to exercise your courage and discipline. Avoiding discomfort provides temporary relief, but it weakens your ability to face life's inevitable difficulties. Pain, difficulty, and struggle are natural parts of existence, and by embracing them, you prepare yourself for the unpredictable events that life will bring. When you choose comfort over challenge, you give power to weakness and limit your potential. Facing discomfort, on the other hand, expands your capacity to endure, adapt, and act with purpose. Strength is not simply the absence of fear or pain, it is the ability to move forward despite them. Discomfort tests patience, persistence, and character. It forces you to confront the limits of your current self and to push beyond them. Every time you act in spite of discomfort, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you believed. This builds confidence not from ease but from experience and effort. The process of embracing discomfort requires awareness and deliberate action. You must recognize when you are avoiding difficulty and ask why. Often, avoidance is disguised as practicality or necessity, but underneath lies fear and laziness. Naming the avoidance allows you to act consciously rather than passively. Action taken in spite of discomfort is the antidote to weakness. It is through repeated exposure to challenges that habits of resilience and courage are formed. Small, consistent acts of facing difficulty compound over time, producing a mind that is steady, disciplined, and unshakable. Physical discomfort, such as exercise, fasting, or enduring harsh conditions, strengthens not only the body but also the mind. Mental and emotional discomfort, such as confronting fears, having honest conversations, or learning new skills, develops clarity, courage, and adaptability. Avoiding these challenges may feel safer in the moment, but it reduces your ability to respond effectively when life demands strength. Discomfort also teaches perspective. When you willingly endure small hardships, you gain the capacity to face larger challenges without panic or despair. You learn that pain is temporary, effort is necessary, and growth comes through persistence. Facing discomfort daily shapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable, resilient, and committed to progress. This identity becomes the foundation upon which all other strengths are built. Each act of embracing difficulty reinforces another, creating a cycle in which courage, discipline, and resilience grow steadily. By accepting discomfort as a natural and necessary part of life, you remove fear from your decision-making and replace hesitation with action. The weak version of yourself resists this principle, preferring safety, convenience, and ease, but true strength comes from deliberately stepping into the situations that test your limits and expand your potential. To reflect on progress every day. Growth is not only built through action but also through careful observation of your own journey. Without reflection, effort can become aimless, habits can continue unchecked, and weaknesses can persist unnoticed. Daily reflection allows you to see clearly where you have succeeded, where you have fallen short, and what steps you need to take to continue moving forward. It is not a matter of judging yourself harshly or punishing mistakes, but of honestly evaluating your choices, thoughts, and actions. Each day presents countless opportunities to learn, but if you move through life without pause, those lessons are lost. By setting aside time to reflect, you make meaning out of experience, turning ordinary actions into tools for improvement. Reflection helps you identify patterns in your behavior. You begin to notice the moments when you acted with discipline, courage, and wisdom, as well as the moments when fear, laziness, or distraction influenced your choices. Awareness of these patterns allows you to reinforce the behaviors that serve you and correct the behaviors that weaken you. Without reflection, you remain at the mercy of habits you may not even realize govern your life. Reflection also strengthens accountability. When you pause to examine your day, you take ownership of your successes and your failures. You stop blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck for outcomes that you could influence. Accountability is empowering because it shifts focus from external factors to internal choices. You realize that even when the world is difficult or unpredictable, your own actions are within your control. And those actions determine the trajectory of your life. Honest reflection builds clarity. It allows you to distinguish between what truly matters and what is trivial. Many people expend energy on distractions, gossip, or minor frustrations, forgetting to focus on the long-term goals and values that shape their character. By looking back on your actions, you can evaluate whether your time, energy, and attention are being spent wisely. Reflection also provides perspective. Life is full of highs and lows, successes and setbacks. In the moment, challenges can feel overwhelming, victories can feel fleeting, and progress can feel invisible. Daily reflection allows you to step back, see the broader picture, and appreciate the incremental progress you may have overlooked. It also prepares you for future challenges. By understanding how you responded to previous difficulties, you learn what works and what does not. Reflection teaches you to anticipate obstacles, adjust strategies, and make decisions based on reason rather than impulse. Journaling, mental review, or even quiet contemplation can serve as methods of reflection. What matters is the deliberate practice of examining your actions and thoughts with honesty. This habit develops self-knowledge, which is essential for growth. Reflection reinforces intention. Every choice you make becomes more purposeful when you take time to evaluate its impact. You begin to act with foresight rather than reaction, making decisions aligned with your goals and values. Over time, reflection cultivates wisdom. You begin to see the consequences of actions more clearly, to understand human behavior, and to recognize which efforts produce genuine progress. It trains the mind to learn continuously, to adapt, and to refine itself. Reflecting daily is not a passive act, it is an active engagement with your life. It transforms ordinary experiences into lessons, builds self-awareness, and strengthens the capacity to act intentionally. Those who fail to reflect risk repeating mistakes, wasting effort, and allowing the weak version of themselves to persist. In contrast, reflection empowers growth, clarity, and mastery over your own mind and actions. Refuse to settle for less than your potential. Every person carries within themselves a unique combination of abilities, talents, and opportunities, yet too many live their lives far below what they are capable of achieving. Settling begins subtly, often disguised as practicality, contentment, or fear of failure. It is the voice that tells you to take the easy path, to avoid challenges, or to accept mediocrity because striving seems too difficult. The weak version of yourself is quick to settle because it fears effort, discomfort, and the unknown. But growth and fulfillment come only when you push beyond these limitations and pursue the highest version of yourself. Refusing to settle requires awareness. You must recognize where you are compromising, where you are holding back, and where fear, laziness, or doubt are influencing your choices. This recognition is uncomfortable because it reveals the gap between who you are and who you could become, but it is essential. Without honesty, you cannot identify the areas that require change or improvement. Once you acknowledge the gap, action is required. Refusing to settle is not about dreaming endlessly without effort. It is about consistently working to close that gap. Every decision you make should be guided by the question, am I moving toward my potential? Or am I choosing ease and comfort? Each day presents opportunities to act deliberately, to challenge yourself, and to rise above limitations. effort, perseverance, and courage are essential in this process. Settling is tempting because it offers immediate comfort and avoids risk, but it sacrifices long-term growth. Refusing to settle means prioritizing what is meaningful over what is convenient. It requires patience, because meaningful progress is rarely instant. It demands discipline, because the path to realizing your potential is often steep, uneven, and demanding. This refusal also demands resilience. There will be failures, setbacks, and obstacles that test your resolve. Those who settle use these moments as reasons to quit or compromise, while those committed to reaching their potential see them as opportunities to learn, adapt, and strengthen themselves. The journey toward your potential is not linear. It involves continuous effort, reflection, and adjustment. It is a process of refining habits, developing skills, and building character. By refusing to settle, you commit to a lifelong path of self-improvement, regardless of comfort or immediate rewards. This mindset transforms your perspective on challenges and difficulties. They are no longer threats to avoid but tests to endure, lessons to absorb, and opportunities to rise higher. Refusing to settle also impacts the way you interact with others. It inspires respect, accountability, and leadership because you hold yourself to a higher standard and refuse to compromise values or goals for convenience or approval. It sets an example, showing that growth and excellence are possible when you consistently strive beyond the limits of comfort and fear. To refuse to settle, you must cultivate self-awareness, discipline, and courage daily. Each choice to act intentionally, to learn, to endure discomfort, and to confront fear is a step toward your potential. This refusal is not a momentary decision but a habit, a pattern of living that gradually transforms your life. It is built in repeated acts of persistence, in facing challenges without compromise, and in committing to what you can become rather than what is easiest. Settling may seem safe, but refusing to settle is freedom, the freedom to grow, to shape your destiny, and to honor the potential that exists within you. Let courage, wisdom, and persistence guide you. Life is full of challenges, uncertainties, and moments that test the strength of your character. Without guidance, it is easy to become lost, distracted, or overwhelmed by fear and doubt. Courage, wisdom, and persistence are the pillars that anchor your actions, thoughts, and decisions, allowing you to move forward steadily and purposefully even in the face of difficulty. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite fear. Every step you take toward improvement, every risk you accept in pursuit of growth, every time you face discomfort instead of avoiding it, you practice courage. The weak version of yourself seeks safety, clings to comfort, and hesitates when action requires risk or effort. By choosing courage, you confront that weakness directly. Courage allows you to speak the truth, to take responsibility, to act with integrity, and to challenge the habits or patterns that hold you back. Wisdom complements courage because action without understanding can lead to chaos, mistakes, or wasted effort. Wisdom is the ability to see clearly, to judge rightly, and to act in alignment with what is just, useful, and effective. It requires reflection, learning from experience, and observing the world with honesty. While courage propels you into action, wisdom ensures that your actions are purposeful and constructive. Together they prevent impulsive reactions that might satisfy immediate desires but undermine long-term goals. Persistence is the engine that carries courage and wisdom over the long journey of growth. Life does not reward occasional effort, motivation, or inspiration. It rewards consistency. The weak version of yourself gives up too easily, loses focus when results are delayed, or is distracted by minor setbacks. Persistence is the refusal to abandon your path, the determination to continue practicing discipline, embracing discomfort, and acting in alignment with your values, even when progress feels slow or invisible. These three qualities work together. Courage moves you to face what others avoid. Wisdom helps you navigate the challenges with clarity. And persistence ensures that your growth continues steadily, despite obstacles, distractions, or temporary failures. Cultivating them is a deliberate practice. Courage is strengthened by small, repeated acts of facing fear or discomfort. Wisdom grows through reflection, learning, and observation of your experiences and actions. Persistence develops when you commit daily to take the next step, Even when motivation fades or the path feels unclear, letting these qualities guide you requires focus and intention. Every decision, action, and thought can be filtered through them. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what is the courageous choice? What is the wise choice? What requires persistence to achieve? Using these questions as a compass allows you to act with purpose, rather than react impulsively or give in to weakness. They also protect you from the chaos of the world. Circumstances will always be unpredictable, people will act unfairly, and setbacks will occur. When courage, wisdom, and persistence guide your actions, you remain steady and resilient, able to navigate adversity without losing direction or integrity. Over time, consistently allowing these qualities to lead shapes your character. You become someone who acts with reason, endures difficulties, and rises above fear, excuses, and weakness. You become reliable, disciplined, and capable, with a mind that is calm in crisis, a heart that is steadfast, and a spirit that refuses to surrender to circumstances. In every challenge, in every decision, in every moment that tests you, letting courage, wisdom, and persistence guide your actions transforms obstacles into opportunities and turns effort into lasting strength.